Going to the mall in 1990 was an experience. Not just shopping, it was a social event, a destination, a place where teenagers spent entire weekends. The mall was where you went to see and be seen, where friendships were made and drama unfolded, where you spent your allowance money on CDs and clothing. The 1990s were the last decade when malls truly thrived. They were still being built, still expanding, still the center of American retail and teenage social life. But underneath the success, competition was emerging. The golden age was ending, and nobody knew it yet. This was the mall culture that millennials and late Gen Xers remember. The final era before everything moved online. Let's walk through what going to the mall actually felt like in 1990s America. Let's step into that world. Getting dropped off. Going to the mall meant getting a ride. Your parents would drop you off at the entrance. You'd arrange a pickup time, usually 3 or 4 hours later. No cell phones for most of the decade meant you had to be at the pickup spot on time. The freedom was real. Your parents would leave and you'd be on your own. No supervision, just you and your friends with $20 or $30 an hour to kill. The sensory experience, walking into the mall, hit you immediately. The temperature was perfect, cool in summer, warm in winter. The sounds were distinct, conversations echoing, music from stores, water fountains, the hum of activity. The smell was a mixture. Perfume and cologne from department stores, food from the food court, pizza, pretzels, Chinese food, the clean commercial smell of air conditioning. Every mall smelled similar but slightly different. The 1990s mall was designed to be walked. Long corridors with stores on both sides. Anchor department stores sat at each end. Macy's, JCPenney, Sears. You would wander from one end to the other, stopping at every interesting store. The stores that defined the decade. The Gap was everywhere. Khakis, polo shirts, hoodies, jeans. The stores played upbeat pop music. Everyone wore Gap. It was the default wardrobe for teenagers who were not trying to make a statement. Abercrombie and Fitch was for the popular kids. The stores were dark with loud music, shirtless male models on the shopping bags. The cologne smell was overwhelming. They sprayed it constantly. Shopping at Abercrombie and Fitch signaled your social status. Hot Topic was for alternative kids. Band T-shirts, black clothing, punk accessories, anime merchandise. The store played rock and metal. Shopping at Hot Topic was an identity statement. You were different. Counterculture, not mainstream. Pacific Sunwear and Zumiez sold skater fashion. Baggy jeans, oversized shirts, Vans, Airwalk. The stores had skate videos playing. The aesthetic was California, even if you lived nowhere near a beach. American Eagle was the middle ground between Gap and Abercrombie. Casual clothing that was trendy but not too expensive. American Eagle was safe. You could not go wrong shopping there. Sam Goody was where you bought CDS. Walls of jewel cases were organized by genre. Listening stations let you preview albums. The store sold music, movies, and pop culture merchandise. Buying a new CD was significant. CDS cost $15 to $18, expensive on an allowance. You would carefully select what to buy, reading the back and looking at the track listing. Taking it home and unwrapping it was exciting. Suncoast Motion Picture Company sold VHS tapes and later DVDs, movies, TV shows, and anime. The stores had promotional posters and cardboard standees. Buying movies to own was still novel. Building a video collection meant something. The food court was the social center. Tables and chairs formed islands, surrounded by fast food counters. Sbarro pizza, Taco Bell, Chick-fil-A, Chinese food with orange chicken, Subway. The food court was where you'd sit for hours with friends. You'd buy something small, a slice of pizza or a soda, and make it last. You might refill your soda multiple times. The food court was where you'd see people from school, where you'd run into friends, where gossip spread and plans were made. The food itself was consistent, but not great. But that wasn't the point. The food court was about being there, being seen, having a place to hang out without being told to leave. The arcade. Many malls had arcades. Darker rooms filled with video game cabinets and pinball machines. The early 1990s had Street Fighter II, Mortal Kombat, and NBA Jam. The games took quarters, and skilled players could make one quarter last. The arcade was mostly guys, loud, with electronic sounds and trash talk. The best players would draw crowds. Being good at arcade games gave you social currency. By the late 1990s, arcades were declining. Home video game systems were getting better. PlayStation and Nintendo 64 made arcade games less special. Department store adventures. The anchor department stores were destinations themselves. Macy's, JCPenney, Dillard's, Nordstrom. Multiple floors of merchandise. The first floor always had cosmetics and perfume. Walking through the cosmetics section often meant being sprayed with perfume samples. Women in makeup would approach you with sample bottles. The smell was overwhelming. The upper floors had clothing, teenage sections with mannequins wearing the latest styles. Dressing rooms where you would try on clothes you could not afford. Spencer's Gifts. Spencer's Gifts was the store with lava lamps, black light posters, novelty t-shirts, and items that were vaguely inappropriate. The store had a front section that was family-friendly, and a back section that definitely was not. Teenagers would go to Spencer's to look at things they couldn't buy and laugh. Gag gifts, adult humor items, things that seemed edgy and forbidden. The payphone situation. For most of the 1990s, there were no cell phones. Communication meant payphones mounted on walls near the bathrooms. You would need quarters to make calls. Calling your parents for a ride meant finding a payphone, feeding it quarters, and hoping they were home. If they were not, you waited and tried again later. By the late 1990s, some teenagers had pagers, then early cell phones, bulky things that barely fit in pockets. But for most of the decade, the payphone was your only option. The fashion and identity. What you wore to the mall mattered. Clothing was identity. The stores you shopped at said something about who you were or who you wanted to be. Baggy jeans were everywhere in the mid to late 1990s. JNCO jeans had massive legs, and oversized t-shirts were common. Flannel shirts tied around waists were worn early in the decade during the grunge era. The mall was where you bought your identity. It was where you assembled the wardrobe that told people who you were. The stores catered to different tribes: prep, skater, goth, raver. You shopped accordingly. No internet, no phones. The lack of internet meant the mall was where you discovered things. New music, new fashion, new trends. You couldn't look it up online. You saw it at the mall. The lack of cell phones meant you arranged to meet at specific places: the fountain, the food court, or outside a specific store. If someone was late, you waited. If they didn't show, you had no way to know why. The disconnection made the mall experience more immersive. You were there, present, not distracted by phones. Conversations happened face to face. Claire's and piercing. Claire's Accessories sold jewelry, hair accessories, and offered ear piercing. Teenage girls would get their ears pierced at Claire's. The store was bright and sparkly, full of inexpensive jewelry. Getting your ears pierced at the mall was a rite of passage. Your friends would come with you for support. The piercing gun was quick and painful. Afterward, you'd show everyone your new earrings. The decline begins. By the late 1990s, changes were happening. Walmart and Target were expanding, and their prices were lower. People began shopping there instead of at mall stores. The internet was emerging. Amazon launched in 1995. By 1999, people were starting to shop online. Not much yet, but the foundation was being laid. What made it special? What defined the 1990s mall was the combination of freedom and limitation. You had freedom to roam unsupervised, but you were limited by time, money, and technology. You couldn't shop online. You had to go to the mall. You couldn't text your friends. You had to arrange to meet them. You couldn't stream music. You had to buy CDs. The limitations created rituals and made experiences meaningful. The mall was a physical place where teenage social life happened. It was where you saw people and where you were seen, where identity was performed and purchased. For teenagers in the 1990s, the mall was freedom. Your parents would drop you off and pick you up later. What happened in between was yours. You'd meet friends, wander stores, eat food court pizza, and spend your allowance money. For those who spent time in malls during the 1990s, the memories are specific. The smell of Abercrombie cologne, the taste of Sbarro pizza, the sound of music from Sam Goody, the feeling of walking the corridors with friends, with money in your pocket and nowhere else to be. The 1990s mall represented the end of an era, the last decade when malls were truly the center of American teenage social life.